live on Instagram, and we're 2 minutes early. Gina, this never happens. I don't know. You have the voodoo you do has me like, and I even have my earrings on. I told Gina I can't start without my earrings. Like now it's going to go viral or something. So this is the behind the scenes as we get ready to talk to Gina Ingram, and who is in Greece right now, right? And there it is. It froze.
Yes, in Athens.
Okay, in Athens. Okay, we're telling everybody that we're on live. So we're waiting for all of our thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers. I'm just kidding. I have like 4. And so, all right. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the Happy Huddle. Every Friday morning, we come here for 30 minutes every Friday morning to practice. Honestly, this is just my own accountability partner so that I make myself practice every single week. If nobody shows up, I will still be here talking about something, some positivity tool. But this week, I'm super, super excited. I have Gina Ingram with me. And so Gina is from soulexpeditions.world, but that's just her tiny little part of Gina. I met her from Mind Valley. I talk about Mind Valley all the time, but one of the reasons I went to Mind Valley is I saw she was going, and she is living the life that I want to do, and I want to learn everything I can from her. So Gina, tell everybody a little bit about how you ended up. So you're in Greece right now, and then tomorrow you're on your way to
Eastern Europe.
All over.
We are on a mission to reach. I'm on a mission to reach 100 countries by the end of the year. If you can believe that, it's got kind of a very big lifetime goal.
How many have you done so far?
91.
Oh, no problem. Oh, okay, it's only, what are we in now? May. So you're fine. I think you'll make it, since I know you see 10 countries in a couple of months. So tell us a little bit how you got on this journey to do 100, well, even more by the end of this year.
It all started about 24 years ago when my husband and I got married, and we both kind of grew up wanting to be world explorers. I wanted to travel since I was like 10. I was obsessed with travel very young. And so when I met my husband in college, we both hit it off. We both wanted to explore the world. And so when we got married, we had one-way tickets for our honeymoon, and we went and traveled to Europe, lived in Spain for a year. And when the money ran out, we were like, okay, this is it. This is where we want to be. We ended up moving up to San Francisco, Silicon Valley. My husband got a job with a tech firm, and they moved us back to Amsterdam. And after that, we've lived now in 8 countries, raised our kids for 18 years in 7 different countries. And then 6 years ago, we were so tired of the school and the hassle, because my husband had a remote work opportunity, and we were staying home for school. And we realized, why are we letting school dictate our lives? Why are we staying in one place for school? So I looked into other families that were doing this. This was early. So this is in 2012, I was looking into this. And I found some families that were doing Worldschooling. And so 2013, we planned ahead and took them out. They were 14, 12, and 5. And we've been traveling now full-time for 6 years almost.
And so I can imagine way back then, Worldschooling was not even much of a word. You didn't have Instagram influencers and people who were telling you how to do it. So how did you figure it out?
It's been a long journey. We started off wanting to do the curriculum. Last year, we wanted them to be ready for high school, and we weren't sure. We were living in Italy at the time, and Italian school was very intense, and they were tired of it. And so we thought, well, in case we want to go back to the US or somewhere else, we wanted them prepared. So we followed a curriculum online, and that lasted about 2 years until we realized, why are we sitting in like Egypt, and they're studying something, on an American curriculum? They're studying like California history or American history, and we're sitting in Egypt. Why don't we just create our own curriculum? So about 4 years ago, we bailed on the curriculum. We created our own curriculum based on what the kids are passionate about, where we were, and we just change depending, and we just soak it up, and we just decide what we're doing as it happens. We don't even plan. We're very spontaneous. My son, the main things he's 11 now. He has to know how to write, and do his math. But otherwise, everything else is just done through osmosis, what he's interested in, where we are. And they find their love of things. When you go somewhere, it'll spark an interest that they had no idea they would have, neither did I. And all of a sudden they're like, I want to learn about that. And so then you let them dive into that subject, and then you can take them all over the place. You can learn science from a certain subject. Let's say, you're at the pyramids. You can learn about history, the religion, the geology of the sands, and you can, so it's science, and you're learning language, and you're learning, world events and cultural events and cultural etiquette and others. Just, I could name like 50 things just from one visit to Egypt. Food, yes. I mean, just stimulation. And so we realized, and I didn't even know the studies I've been hearing the last week. I've been hearing so much about how kids' brains, they need stimulation. And I'm realizing that I was giving them this without really understanding how important it was. And from day one, because they both all grew up internationally, hearing different languages, French, Dutch, Italian, German. They grew up in all different countries. And so I didn't realize the stimulation they're having and how important it was when they were little. So we've been trying to research now, what did we do exactly to create this life? Because my kids are just thriving in so many ways now from all these different influences and people. And
I can say that totally unbiased, and because I know you're a little biased, but her children are magnificent, friendly, kind, social, smart, beautiful. Like, they are everything you want your children to be. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting in front of me. I say that behind your back too.
Thank you.
But they are. And when I look at my children and I think, how do you get children like that? It is, of course, great parenting and, and more. And it doesn't mean you can only have amazing, gorgeous, kind children if you're traveling around the world, but it might even be harder to do that. So what are the things that you think within your parenting that were the core values, even this, whether you were traveling or not traveling? I know it's a tough question. Sorry.
For sure, compassion, because I grew up, can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me okay? Okay. I grew up with a bone disease, and I grew up having to be in hospitals, and my kids saw me go through cancer. I lost my shoulder, thought my life if travel was over because I can't lift anything. So they learned they saw me struggle, and they learned that they had to help out. And so finally I got cancer again twice. And I realized after that, what, that's also what made us want to travel. And they're like, don't worry, we'll help. And so they grew up kind of always helping and knowing the compassion. And I would tell them about always be kind, because you never know what someone is going through. And, I told them stories about being bullied and being, all this stuff growing up. And so they grew up always being those kids that would go to help out the kids that were alone, or go talk to people that were left behind. So they kind of grew up this way from the beginning, from day one. And then as we traveled, we started part of our traveling is to meet the locals, and we volunteer. And they started the compassion and empathy and learning from the people and talking to them and hearing their stories. That's what made them truly, I think, who they are today. But also, I can't take all the credit. I mean, my husband and I, we can't take all the credit for raising them, because honestly, when the saying, it takes a village. Well, in our case, it takes the world. I mean, they've learned, they've had parents all over the world teaching them things. Like I was saying, like the bread lady in Egypt sitting there doing her bread, the lady that rows in Vietnam at 65 and has to row to make a living, and with her feet. I mean, unbelievable stuff that we've seen. The people that are struggling in all these countries. We go to places that are not 5-star. We really go deep into the culture. And so they're meeting people, and I swear they've learned more from the refugees we work with. Those are also part of their parenting, part of parents for them. And so I cannot take credit. I literally think they've been raised by the world. And that's what I think has created this beautiful, these beautiful children. So I cannot take all the credit, because oh my gosh, I can name 100 people that have taught them amazing things and helped them grow.
And I think it's so great that you are saying that you didn't do it all 5-star, because I think people think that to world school or to even just travel with your children is so expensive.
No, for instance, my husband, when we started traveling, I had to sell him on the idea. So I had to tell him we will not spend any more than we're spending right now. So when you don't have a house and you don't have car payments, you don't have school, you don't have activities, none of that stuff that you pay for, no, phones and electricity, all that stuff adds up to so much. So we kept the budget exactly what we were spending in. We were in Venice, Italy, and that wasn't cheap, living in Italy. So I was able to travel within that budget. And so that's how we travel. We try to go to places that aren't super expensive: Vietnam, Myanmar, Egypt, Turkey, and we'll do those longer term. And then we'll pop into the Austrias and Switzerlands and places that are more expensive. We can go there for a short time, but because we are on a budget, we do have to travel late. And we will not stay in the nicest. We'll stay in apartments, Airbnbs. They're not ever awful. They're nice, but they're not the Four Seasons and the those kinds of places.
I want to tell people again, and I think Jamie and Leah just joined. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm talking to Gina, who is in Greece right now. That's why the connection is a little bit choppy. And it's so funny because your girls are in another room talking to another of our friends in LA. So you guys are certainly like all over talking to everybody in the world. It does not, in this day and age, the technology keeps everybody super close. So, so you're in Greece, and one of the things I wanted to ask, I wanted to tell everybody about your website. So tell me a little bit more about, like, you've taken your daughters, your kids have started a refugee charitable organization just by working with them. That was their decision, right?
Yes, it started in 2015 when we went to Turkey to help volunteer with refugees that were stuck on the streets there that had come from Syria. And they started an organization called Kids Unite for Hope. It's kidsuniteforhope.org if you want to check it out. And they started this organization, and then we ended up going to Greece, to Athens, for 6 months, and they volunteered every day in a refugee camp. And that's where they truly found their passion for helping. And that's why we're here now. We have a little tiny apartment. It's 350 euros a month. It's literally like $15 a day we pay for our apartment. Wow. But it's in the local neighborhood where all the refugees live. It's really cute. I mean, in Greece, you can get things that are very affordable. So we come here probably I'd say about 40 to 50% of our time is spent now in Athens to do our refugee work. And then the rest of the time traveling, exploring, meeting new people, and also getting in touch with other organizations, nonprofits that we can partner with. So so that's why we're here. And they work every day with my daughters. They teach English. They do activities. They just love these kids. And they're all from Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, people from all over African nations, just a lot of people here in Greece.
And you just cannot find that in a lot of neighborhoods in America, or certainly in Silicon Valley where I am. So, so now you are off to, where are you going next?
Tomorrow we go to Romania, and we're going to head for Eastern Europe, to some countries like we do Moldova, Belarus, and Ukraine. So we're trying to finish Europe. We have a couple left in Europe, and then we're just trying to visit as many countries as we can to experience the world. My kids are older now, so before they go off and leave, I want to try to get as much as I can with them. So that's our goal. We're trying to get to 100, and then I have a personal lifetime goal of 150. That's like my ultimate goal.
You'll make it, no doubt. So tell us a little bit about your website, because I really think, I know you're still working on a lot of different things, but if anybody is interested in any part of traveling or doing any volunteer work, what are some of the things you're putting together on your website so that people can learn from all the 20 years of what you've learned, and you're going to put it in a capsule for us, right?
Yes. Okay. It's called Soul Expedition, and inside there we have the Kids Unite for Hope, the charity. My kids all have blogs because they've been working for 5-6 years on beautiful writing, it's in there too. And then we tell our story, and then we're going to start doing some courses because we're trying to raise money for helping refugees. And so we pretty much self-funded all these years because we're just terrible at asking for money. I'm a terrible fundraiser. So I'm not good at that. So we decided, well, maybe if we take our knowledge and we create courses, then 100% of the proceeds would go directly to help the refugees in our neighborhood. So, and so we have courses coming, and then we're also going to start doing expeditions where we take people on a actual expedition to, our first one's going to be Egypt. We've moved it to November of 2020. And we'll take people, and in there we're going to hopefully do workshops and mindfulness, yoga, mixing the kind of mindfulness with travel, and kids learning from teachers. We want to bring in some teachers to come teach these things, as well as, so you're immersing in the culture, you're immersing in the beautiful sites, activities like a Nile cruise, or going to the Red Sea, visiting the pyramids, but you're also getting the mix of kind of like a mini Mind Valley kind of thing on location. That's kind of our so we're still working on that. We just went to Egypt. We met with our old Egyptologist friend that's going to work with us, and so it's going to be an amazing trip. So if you go to the site, you'll see it's all listed there, all the details.
I love the soulexpeditions.world, and maybe Laura, you could write that
only yeah, expedition with no S. Soulexpedition.world.
World. And I love this idea of that you're going to take families on these journeys, and you're basically going to just let them become part of your family. You're just going to bring them along for the ride and show them the best of what you've learned, and do it like you've done it as your family. And I am signing. Where do I sign up? I know, soulexpedition.world. So I'm super excited about that. So what do you think is the biggest challenge of what you've done and what you've learned from it?
Probably space. We're always together. You don't get a lot of time alone because we can't always afford to get, huge places. So sometimes my husband and I will get our own room, and then the kids will get a triple. And my daughter's now 20. And so she's still sharing a room with her 11-year-old brother. So she's having a little challenge there, but she doesn't want to stop. She loves traveling, and she's starting her own kind of career and business. So she's doing it still with us. And sometimes, they get lonely, they miss friends, but they've literally made friends all over the world. So it's been great. In the beginning, it was hard. I have to be honest, my 12-year-old at the time, 6 years ago, did not want to leave her friends in Venice. She was like, I'm going to tie myself to a pole. It was just so hard. But then within 6 months, I'd say she was sold on it. And then doing school on their own and learning what they want, it's made it so much better. And now they see their friends, studying for finals and all these things. So they're like, okay, I like this life.
I forgive you.
That was probably the challenge, I think. Yeah, they love it now. I mean, it's been so amazing. We're actually going to be speaking at the Mind Valley stage. We've been asked to speak and tell our story. So they're going to tell their story and kind of share their journey. So it's really exciting. It's been opening a lot of doors for us. It's amazing. So I can't even, it's just been kind of a magical, and meeting people like you, it's been amazing.
And what I love is that you didn't plan, you didn't even say, okay, we're going to do this and then this and then this, and then we're going to be becoming speakers and becoming fundraisers and refugee, creating refugee charitable organizations. What you did is you just followed the scent of your passion. And that led you. And that's one of the things I talk a lot about, because people are like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. And we think we can't start until we know exactly what it's going to look like on the other side. Until we know that it's going to, well, when I'm, 45, 55, 65, I'll have this in the bank. And it really just, it's so much about just going on your gut. But I think a lot of us and a lot of kids today aren't allowed the freedom to figure out what their passion is, or even what's interesting to them, because we just go to work.
That is so funny. Yes, it's so funny you said that, because I actually I was talking about that this morning with my husband. Is I realized that I found my passion so young, because I was in the hospital all the time, so I was given time and space to just develop my loves and dreams. I mean, I would dream and dream and dream about this life. Talk about manifestation. I didn't even know what it was, visualization. And I would visualize down to the every detail of this life that I'm living. It's crazy how it's really amazing. But I was given the time and space, whereas my brothers were on it's football season, it's baseball season, Little League, blah, blah, blah. They were so scheduled that they never really had time to just figure out who they are and have the time to dream and find a passion. And so that's been the biggest thing I think on this journey is we've given our kids time and space to just let them go. And there's no structure on their school. They get to choose and they, what they love. And so that's given them the ability to develop their passions and move along and change and, flow with it. So that's what I think kids need. And don't do, they're not, doing gadgets. They're not doing, Xbox once in a while, but, we're not bringing those on our trips. And so they really have to, we have one, but, they have to really figure out on their own how to entertain themselves. And a lot of time it's by what they're interested in, what they see, and then they will learn about it. And it's been amazing. They really want to learn. If you just give them some experiences to become passionate about, I think that's as hard as kids are put in a bubble and they don't want to learn because what are they going to, okay, if they're looking at the same street every day, it's like, what's going to stimulate their brain? And they can't see outside if they've never been there. It's hard to visualize what's out there. So I think experiencing kids, they don't have to go across the world. They can go to a new place and they can go volunteer at a local community center or help, people in their own community. And that'll open their eyes. Speak to people that are different. Ask their story. I'm telling you, the teachers are the people that can give them a different perspective. It'll open their minds and they will see things so differently. And volunteering and helping people changes kids. They completely, they want to serve people. They want to do good. And it makes them feel so good. It's about the whole giving and then receiving. It's so true when it comes to volunteering. So I would number one thing I recommend people that want to raise amazing, beautiful kids is have them volunteer, have them see the world, people outside of their bubble, like whether it's helping the community, soup kitchen, homeless, whatever it may be, just let them see and let them meet these people and talk to them. That's what I would do.
And not just do it because it's a school required for your school resume. Don't just do it, for a semester, a quarter or a couple months. It really is about making it part of your life and part of your family values. And yeah, it's interesting. It's not as easy, and I've looked to find something that kids can do with you in our local area, but I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. And we're definitely looking forward, because I think for your girls helping create the charitable portion for the kids and the teens this summer.
Yes, they are. They're doing that right now. They're planning that right now. Yes.
Yeah, because I know that they talked about that last year, but again, I really want to expose my kids to a variety of things, and that's really is the lesson. And again, you don't have to go to Syria or Greece or Egypt to be exposed to people that are different or that are suffering. There are people 4 blocks over, and we just don't know it, or we just aren't making the effort to see it. And I think it is so important. And one of our purposes in life is meaning, and meaning comes from serving and sharing what talent and gifts you have with other people and helping raise other people up.
Exactly. And we talk a lot about legacy with my kids. Are really big on everything. And Kate, my daughter Kathy, talks about this one quote by Pericles, a Greek statesman, that says, the things you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what is interwoven in the hearts of those you touch in your life. So that's the legacy you leave behind. Who you touched, because every time you meet someone and you create this soul connection, we call it, you change them. You grow and you have a connection forever, and you will never be the same. And it's a ripple effect. And it's like that whole acts of kindness. It does ripple, and it's your legacy is to change the world and uplift humanity. And so that's what we talk about. And we, being the light and all these things. It's so true. It's so easy to do, and it can be done every day, and it makes you so happy. If you want to be happy by the minute, go serve, go do, go help, go do anything to aside from yourself. Take it away from you and give back, and it will end up coming back to you. But it's just the most beautiful feeling, and it does make you happy. So, but I was going to say that one thing I think a lot of people have is fear. And if you can overcome fear of people that are different, or going to a side of town that might seem, dodgy, that's the part that we've taught our kids to push through that, because we go to places that most people wouldn't go. And we've been to Egypt, Jordan, Palestine 3 times. We're going to all these places. And because I do my research, I know I don't go to places that are in war zones, but a lot of things, it's the media. So you really dig deeper and question everything you hear, because a lot of times it's all just dramatized, and it's, it's sensationalized. And so I think that's where if you can get past that, you'll be so much happier, because you'll connect with people that you would maybe not connect with if you were fearful. So that's a huge thing, I think, also.
True. I actually did a whole webinar, a little half-an-hour webinar about judgment and why we judge other people. And, it's completely about our own insecurity too, and not knowing their story. But how many times have you instantly judged somebody and then been thrown into a situation where you get to know them and you're like, oh wait, they're not anything like I thought they were, based on what my first impression was.
Exactly. So that's kind of what smashing stereotypes. And we're really big. My girls write a lot. They're activists now. They're really big on trying to change people's mentality on certain places around the world, certain cultures, Syria and Afghanistan, all these different. And so my daughter's big does documentaries now and videos. And so to try to open minds and change people's perspective.
It's so great. So what are a couple of your favorite moments? I know you have millions and millions of them, but that you just knew you're doing the right thing. I mean, definitely the refugee work for sure.
Yes. I think we have become so close. I mean, we are literally like best friends. We're like a little ball of friends that go around, and we laugh, and you take the stress of school away and all the stress of the world, and you kind of take your family out of that. You can create anything you want in it. So it's like you're exploring together, and let's try this food, let's try that. It's such a fun. It's so it's like being a kid again. It's like, the eyes of wonder. And they say, you see things through the eyes of a child. And that's kind of what we've done. We've created this family of, even though we're not all children, I'm still the parent and all that, but we all have that childlike wonder. We travel with, let's try this, let's do this, go up that hill, try that place. And so every day is a new adventure. And that's really kept our family close and connected. And that's why my kids aren't rushing off to go to college, or they're going to do online school, and they're doing Mind Valley. So they're recreating their whole education, because they don't want to leave this life. It's too amazing. So they're just like, why would I get a rush? So anyway, that's been, I think, the greatest thing for us, is just the connection as a family.
Yeah, I know a lot of people say, when I talk about going in world schooling, but what about friends, and what about growing up on that same street? And there are a lot of people that grow up on the same street and have friends that are bullies, there's good and bad, right? And I'm not saying everybody has bullies. A lot of people have great experiences in school. You just have to know your family, and you have to know, and I think the bottom line is, are you growing, and are you happy? Are you guys enjoying it? Or is there just a lot of stress? And I'm not saying everybody goes in world schools. I think that you can reduce the stress even living in your neighborhood on the same street. And just the one thing that I've learned from Vishen's book, The Quote of the Extraordinary Mind, that has been so powerful, is the idea of rules, which are BS rules, and that we've created all of these beliefs about how we are supposed to live and where we're supposed to go. And so much of our lives around our children, I'm finding, are, well, I want them to be happy. Okay, well, to be happy, they need to have money. And to have money, they need to have a good job. And to have a good job, they need to go to good college. And to go to a good college, they need to go to a good, elementary school. And then I was like, well, what about just being happy now? And then we'll just deal with, whatever comes later. Because we all know that the right education and money and good job does not equal happiness.
Exactly. And the rules thing is we talk about that all the time. It's so true. Because if you just focus on being happy, like you said, then more opportunities for more happiness is going to come in. But if you structure your life so down to they need this and they need to learn this language and this to get into this college, it's so stressful. I see my family and friends, in America, so stressed out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you could have it so differently. And so that's why I definitely think the rules, I feel the same way because I grew up with traditional American, the prom and this and the sorority. And so I'm like, I see my friends' daughters, like they're in the prom now, and my oldest should be a senior right now. And I feel sad. And then she's like, well, she grew up in Italy. They don't even have prom. She doesn't know anything. She's not missing it. And it's my problem. It's my rule, and she has no clue. Or it's my problem that you should go to college because it's so fun. And what about the sorority or the whatever, the football game? But they didn't grow up like that. So kids, if they don't experience it, they're not missing it. It's our parenting. We're projecting our own beliefs onto them. And so I have to just step back and say they're completely happy. She'd much rather be sitting, holding refugees than at a prom because that's all she knows. And so I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, look what you're missing, So it's funny. They're just happy with what they are experiencing. And so if you put beautiful experiences in front of them, they're not going to worry about what they're missing. And I think that's what. Yeah.
And I had a terrible prom experience both years, so she's not missing
Me
it.
too.
Right? Like,
me too.
I'm so glad to have my children avoid that. There's just so much pecking order, and I just knocked over my Instagram because I was so excited about that. Here we go. I'm back. Anyway, I did not have a great experience, and so I would not be. I'm not sad about having my children miss that. So
yes.
This is all the back end of putting all this together is where the Instagram is filming the Zoom is, one day technology will catch up with our advancement. You're not going to believe this, but we are now on 9:30. That like half an hour flies by.
Oh my gosh. This has been so fun.
I like to keep it at half an hour because then people know they can get in and get out. It's not, I cannot listen to an hour podcast, but I like them to get little bits of information. I'm super excited. You're also writing for the book, Ignite Your Life for Parents. So people are going to get your story there. They're absolutely going to go to your website, soulexpedition.world, and follow your girls, follow your son, who is just absolutely amazing. They all have Instagram, and you can find that on the website. And I am going to see you in like 8 weeks, I think. And I'm just over the moon. I'm so excited. You all, I'm telling you, just follow Gina, whatever she's doing, and you're going to like just glow.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.